put in an alarm system, kind of what we got. All right, let's get started, everybody. Let's see, everybody stop. Yeah. All right, so we're going to start with the approval of the agenda and approval of the minutes. Same. Oh, we didn't have a forum, did we? We didn't have a forum on that. So, but we're approving past. Oh, yeah. Okay. What means that? It wouldn't be the name.
No, I just think it isn't that. So this one is just the price.
So the prior we have a form.
But exactly.
So we won't need a.
Oh yeah, sure.
I didn't think one.
It's just a program just to make. But we still wanna make sure that we all agree that what's created.
But why don't we look at them, and then when we approve the other ones, we'll look at that one too. I don't know. Yeah. So, you're open for public comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Did you approve the agenda?
Yes, I was going to, have the to be our witness.
Your second. Properly second, all in favor, I do not say. And opposed? Okay, now we'll go to public comments, posting statement and anybody for public comment. No more.
No, I'm saying.
We'll move right on to law enforcement. Sheriff.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Holland. I'm the new space station commander for control side of things. Newly promoted and new to the assignment. Last time I worked out on the West End, 2018, 2007. So I've seen a lot of changes going, and of course, for the report, so for last month, street sweeping was an issue. They couldn't get any claims. We had lots of complaints now from community members, public works. So last month we did 140 tickets and 754 cars to help out with that. We had a total of 450 calls for service a month. Most of those were 911 calls, batteries, misdemeanor assaults, civil issues. A lot of parking complaints, litter, some control requests, and some welfare checks. The majority of the calls. We led to 81 reports written, and address here.
Sorry, Lieutenant, we're getting requests that it needs to move closer to the, owl. The people on Zoom can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, they can hear you, but they can.
I'm on this side.
Thank you.
So 81 reports, and that led to, we had 44 different arrests throughout the month for various things. Well, 44 arrests is for everybody, not just North Richmond. That was for North Richmond. We have, the beat also consists of East Richmond Heights and some parts of like Terre Hills. So it's not just in this section of North Richmond, 44 arrests, that's the whole station. 451 calls were just for North Richmond. Yeah, so 451 calls for service, and that included even just somebody calling in a parking complaint, that's a call for service. Anytime somebody called dispatch to either want a deputy to call them or to report something, 450. For all of last month.
Question? They usually have it broken out for North Richmond. You usually have it break out just for North Richmond. You have that.
Yeah, this was just for North Richmond, except the total number of arrests, because all I have is for the station. Yeah, is the arrest for the station house for the month. I don't have the report yet. They haven't gotten all the reports to me, or it's auto-generated in the system. So I can tell you the total number of arrests for the whole station house, but not just for North Richmond, but I did get all the other numbers are just for North Richmond.
You said that you're the new, sheriff,
Yes.
and, how, when did you start and how long you plan on being
Started in this assignment just May 13th is my first day here, and I'll be here until the sheriff tells me he wants me to somewhere else.
Are they gonna be able to work on, or is
I'm the lieutenant, so I'm the main supervisor for out here. And then I have 4 sergeants and about 30 some odd deputies total.
And your name again?
Lieutenant Brian Holland. I have some cards there for you guys.
Thank you, welcome. Okay, we have it, thank you very much. Do we have anybody from, Highway Patrol, Richmond PD?
I don't see anyone.
Zoom now. Okay. Move on to, item number 5, which is talk about 211 Park and the Sorry.
So at Verde Elementary, there was a short lockdown. What prompted that was a phone call from a person that a teacher had a restraining order against, called in threats to that teacher. So we went there, made sure that the person that was making the threats wasn't on campus or anywhere around. Once that was deemed that that person was not there, then we lifted the lockdown.
Anybody else?
No, just want to thank you, Lieutenant Holland, for being so proactive once you started. You've been really great.
Yeah, just let me know. So I gave a handful of cards. Yeah, I said it's been a while since I've worked out here, and we're open to try and change anything to help the community out. So,
Okay, we'll go to item 5 now, 211 Park, application.
Hi there, good afternoon, Advisory Council. Let me just, start off by thanking Tanya Fugel with the center, with the supervisor's office, it's been extremely helpful. We're glad that we can be here today to talk to you a little bit about our, monitoring electrified security fence system. Can you all see okay? Wonderful. So I got here earlier today, to talk to you about this system. We have a customer that's less than a mile away from here that is in need of electrified security perimeter system. Essentially, it's a monitoring system that allows them to protect their assets as well as employees. So if you could please go to the next slide. Is there any way you can make it a little bit bigger? Because I think it's coming off at the bottom. Okay, perfect. You see okay? So,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. So as you can see, we have 7,500 installations, we're in 1,200 jurisdictions, 48 states. In California alone, we have 1,000 installations now growing. Our system works by deterring, that's really before trespass, defending once that trespass is initiated, detecting, we know what's happening, it's a smart system, it's like your alarm system at home, it's monitored, there's a third party that we contact to make sure that it's a real threat that's underway. And we deploy, obviously, if we determine that, in fact, people have entered a place they weren't supposed to enter, we contact law enforcement, and we provide intel to them. Next, please. So the problem is that existing security measures fail. Even just walking around, the area, I had a chance to get a little bit. You see that folks cut, dig, they're very creative, nothing really stops them. So you need an innovative solution. Just pull it off. Next, please. You can see here where they've cut, damaged, made repairs in an effort to really kind of the element and keep businesses afloat. Because right now, when we have a criminal wave, they're the ones that are really hiring people who are trying to stay in business. So
This is at your side?
this is one of the sites. This is an example.
Woodland Park?
No, this is not that site specifically. Yeah, but this is what we see with a lot of business properties like that. Not in Richmond, this is not from Richmond.
I just want to get this.
Yeah, no. But I get what you're saying. Next, please. So, as you would expect, a lot of businesses do use other measures. They secure video cameras, they have footage, but the problem is that's not gonna help them after the fact, because they have a picture, as one business owner told me, Luis, I have a nice picture, but what am I supposed to do with that now? So that what they really need to do is deter that in the first place. Next, please. And you'll see some of the businesses and the industries that require really assistance, that could benefit greatly and do benefit from our system, because once it goes in, a lot of them will tell us crime just goes down and stops. So some of these industries really quickly, trucking and freight, RV, boat sales, metal recycling, landscaping, construction, heavy equipment, auto repair, and here are some of the names you might recognize, FedEx, Penske. Next, please. This is a sample installation of our system. It's hard to see. There are wires, the thickness of a wire hanger. Those are installed, and you can see in the background, real closely at the agenda packet, you may be able to see it, but it's not meant to be something that, really is scary or stands out in any way, shape, or form. Next, please. So I described earlier how really it's a smart system, and it's a comprehensive monitor perimeter alarm system. We deter, we have signage that tells folks, hey, this is an electrified security perimeter. we defend, we detect, obviously because the system is smart, and if you touch it, and you try to mess with it, and you cut it, if you basically go past the perimeter, so we go behind an existing perimeter, right, whether it be a wall, wrought iron, if somebody makes an effort to break in, that system's gonna know. And we're gonna detect it, we're gonna contact third party, if it's verified, if it's an actual break-in, then we contact police, law enforcement appreciates that because it keeps them safe, kind of gives them eyes and ears. Next, please. These are the elements that comprise our system. Kind of like your alarm system at home, you have an alarm panel, the alarm monitoring, the signage I just mentioned, the suspended wires, those are the ones you have to touch and mess with them. They tell us that somebody is messing with the system. The system is operated by a 12-volt battery, kind of like what goes into your car. And it's recharged by a solar panel. That's it, it's independent of the grid. And that's obviously for security reasons as well, because if there's say outage because of a weather event, our system is going to stay online. And where required, there's Knox devices that you can install as well. Next, please. So how it works. We have the warning signage posted every 30 feet. We have the secure wires located behind the non-electrified perimeter fence. That's the wall, the wrought iron, the existing material there. Again, 12-volt battery, not connected to the grid. The pulse frequency is every 1.3 seconds, so it's not continuous current, right? It's every 1.3 seconds that is pulse runs throughout. It lasts less than 0.0003 seconds, and that's like a shock, like you touch your car or your door at home, that's it. I've touched it multiple times myself, and it doesn't feel nice, but I know better than people touching it, because it's not safe. So if you have a criminal that encounters the security system, they've already really made an effort to get past that primary barrier. Next, please. We're obviously, as you would expect, complying with various safety standards. One of them is the International Electrotechnical Commission Safety Standard. That's 60335-276. You see a few other standards here that guide the operation of our system. Next, please. This is the alarm deterrent component in a little bit more detail. So we're licensed by the Department of Consumer Affairs. That entity recognizes us as a company that can provide this alarm monitoring service. And again, if it's confirmed that somebody's trespassing, we will contact and deploy any law enforcement will be. Next, please. So this is our team. They install and maintain the high quality of our fence. We lease our fence. So we ensure that it's consistently working in a very high quality manner to make sure that there's no issues whatsoever. Next, please. This is just provides details about the Knox device that some places may require, and just allows fire departments to deactivate the fence if they need to do it. Next, please. This next slide just really kind of speaks to why our system is taller, should be taller than the existing perimeter, and I think the graphic does a pretty good job of showing you that we don't want people to just jump the fence or the existing perimeter that's there in place. It serves as a deterrent when it's tall. Next, please. So this is the benefit to the communities. It's a safe and compliant security solution. Keeps workplaces and communities safe, and that's really important. I drive a lot, throughout Southern California, a lot of different places. I think there's a lot of opportunity to make our community safer, and we know that the businesses that come to us are happy they can do their part to support that. Again, it supports law enforcement. It's a crime prevention tool. It reduces taxpayer and business expenditures, so businesses don't have to constantly repair the fence. Or in the case of some businesses, for example, a customer, a few weeks ago was telling me in 2 years span, he lost $250,000 worth of heavy equipment. That's a lot of money. He could take people to work, he could expand, but he has to deal with that loss. So it helps him in that regard. It's got green energy, really, our solar panel, it's pretty neat, it's California. It's really more effective than any other security options. It's not just a fence, truly, it's a smart system. And it just makes public safety more tangible. And next slide, I think I just have, thank you slide. And I think the rest is the presentation. But thank you for your time. I hope that we can help this local business grow and thrive in the area. Do you have any questions?
So are you the, not the one applying?
We do that on behalf.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Where's the owner?
They're not here tonight. Most businesses are, operating, they're busy, but, if you'd like to hear directly from them, happy to visit with them.
You'll apply, that.
Yes, to make it easier, because it takes time, right, going through, compliance, this way they can run their business and they can, do the heavy lifting. This is equipment share. It's less than, I said, about a mile away from me.
Questions from, Zoom or,
Will the signage be in English and Spanish?
Yeah, it can be in any number of languages, whatever you prefer. We can work with staff.
Is it legal?
No.
I'm saying it's not.
No.
What makes it not?
The pulse, it's not continuous burn. We have renowned, as you would expect, biomedical experts that have tested the system. This technology is not new. It's been around for over 100 years. We've had cardiologists. It's thoroughly tested to ensure that it's not harmful. Even people with pacemakers won't be affected. None. None.
All installations, nobody's touching it or people touch it and not being seriously.
They're not, it's not meant to seriously injure. It like I said, you touch it, it's like a shock, you're like, okay, that's it. You let go. It's also been tested for that. I'm glad that you asked that question. It's been tested for every scenario, animals, small children, wet puddles. It's not real. It's just meant to be a ritual. And like I said, we're in 48 states, over 75 installations. We've not had any issues.
And residential area and the age of a lot of defendants concerned about 9-year-old and 11-year-old touching.
Well, I drove through there earlier today, and that's pretty removed, from pathway of the public, and it does, like I said earlier, sit behind an existing perimeter. So if there's a wall, if there's wrought iron, if there's any other sort of perimeter there, then you're really kind of making a very concerted effort to go past that and touch our system.
And then final question, if they want to with the fence, they would not later increase why.
Oh, no. Our system, our system is not that. I don't know that there's any right now. Certainly we can, they wouldn't come with our system. I mean, I don't know if it's already on site, or I don't know if it's already permitted, but there's that we do not install that system. I believe that's.
That's a different, yeah, do you have to,
So here, the business wants to be proactive. They want to put up the system before they go in. So but they know, because other customers and other businesses in the area have shared concerns with them that, you know, it's a problem and they want to comply.
This is one of those. So,
Yes, that's going on, yes.
so I can, if you already. I'm gonna ask a question, we're gonna go, but I don't do that. So, just listening to this, document. I have two questions,
Yes.
and one was the area of measure for these different businesses and how it is set up in a way that to deter whoever is trying to get in, and that's what's stated in, documents. So you're saying it's two levels. Yes. One is the place of the facility of the form, and then you come and you actually put another thing to deter whoever. So therefore, the full fence, that should be a deterrent for getting people.
Yes.
Again, for the size of the fence that you have applied, it is not the norm 6 feet, we're looking at 10 and above.
It depends. So, per California Civil Code 835, which, you know, guides the operation and installation of our system, we do in fact go behind an existing perimeter, usually 4 to 8 inches. It's 10 feet or 2 feet higher than an existing perimeter.
So that's the other thing, as far as how many have you installed within, the, unincorporated area, say, no, it's a road to Elseview. You know, it's a lot of business here and there, so.
Right.
Have you had the opportunity to install any particular things for these businesses? You have a lot of businesses that have outside, vehicles and that need to be secured. So I know that, say, for instance, a lot of the, vehicles that are on for sale, and how have they been protected? If you have any, one of the things is like going, pull out people's catalytic converters, on those rounds for sale. So what have you had? Have you had much of that with car dealerships and with other around this area?
So, I don't know about this area, but it's mostly commercial manufacturing, areas that's also outlined in California Civil Code 835. And obviously, yes, we do have people that have had catalytic thefts that come to us, including also public entities. Now we're working with a lot of cities across public works, yards, with, they're coming to us because they want to prevent that. Thank you for your questions.
I guess my question would be like, cause I was confused at first as to what you were doing the position on. So I guess I would wanna know, if I don't know who the local business that you're speaking for or applying for. And I guess I would have wanted to know that and where the site is located exactly at each presentation. Around the area. But
We do have some
I
pictures.
believe that all like businesses should secure their premises. That's totally fine. But in the beneficial, like, I don't necessarily see like how like these benefits are actually benefiting the actual community, but I see how it's benefiting or, to exist in this environment.
So I'll share with you an anecdote that a business owner shared with me a few months ago. We were at a city council meeting, and before the meeting was telling me, he's like, he has people go to work and sometimes it's late. He says, a lot of them live in the community, they want safer communities. He's like, if somebody comes into my business and they get hurt and I have to call their wife or husband, he's like, that's a tough call to make. He's like, so I want to do everything that I can within my power to prevent that from happening so that I can grow, keep them here, and create better communities.
So how long has the company been in this site?
What do you mean at this, my company or you mean?
No, I'm talking
I think they're just gonna be going in and redoing that area. Yeah, they're gonna be a new,
So they've always put them at all their sites?
that's a good question. I'd have to ask, my team and see, but you know, most of these businesses do that. So if they,
But are there none out there?
for equipment share, I don't think so.
So I just I'd rather talk to the owner about this because I want to see what is he storing over there, number one? You know, basically, why does he need to do this? I understand the perception, but the reality, I have some concerns about this being very close to the residential area. A lot of the other warehouses and stuff are farther away from it. And so I need to talk to, well, for me, I need to talk to him. I want to see his perspective on the area, and what makes him take this drastic turn. You just had the sheriff come in and typically there wasn't much going on.
Yeah. And you know, I can work with Tanya, we can, you know, maybe see if there's something that we can do to perhaps.
I mean, I
the time.
understand you, more than this, and I understand the reason why, and I know that it's something that is, you know, that, but we should hear from the owner, to find out, you know, what kind of a community person is he? What does he know about the community? One, why does he think he has to do this? You know, we haven't had anyone come to us with this proposal.
To 11 Park.
And are you guys a local business?
So I'm here in California, we have a team here in California, but we're based out of South Carolina.
Okay, thank you for your presentation.
Yeah,
You're not
you bet.
taking any action today. You would recommend that the owner, if I did consider to do it. I come back. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I hear you say that, other things, you got those stages.
40 radiation behind it.
What's the reason for that?
What do you, what's it? There's cameras as well.
So how, I mean, it's, I think it's like, yes, I'm 30 feet apart, but we like, it's good. I'm let's see, no, I'm thinking about.
Yeah, well, and because it's a monitor system, if they do that, then we'll know that they're trying to circumvent. I mean, and business owners,
Question is why would that require? It's not about, looks like you're smarter than that, they're gonna throw a rubber thing.
because it deters trespassing. I mean, we have over 1,000 installations in California, and what the business owners tell us, these are the people that are trying to put a stop to the crime in their businesses, is that the minute that the system goes in, the crime goes down.
I'm all about, but the thing is though, is that blackness and myself is.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be perfect.
It's not a lethal system. It's not a lethal system, and I think most, I mean, it's not, it's, you know, obviously, you know, these systems are worried about it. The ones that have an intent. Well, it's commercial, manufacturing, and industrial zones.
I will encourage us to move on because we haven't.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
And before we start the next one, people are saying they can't hear us. So I just want to do a quick sound check. Can people on Zoom confirm that you can hear us or not hear us? Cynthia, can you hear us? If you can hear us, can you raise your hand?
turn your camera and.
This is crazy. March is like kind of. Well, we did have a microphone.
It sounds like they're okay.
So I would say that everyone projects,
Yeah.
just to make sure they can hear us, because, you know, they wanna hear what we're talking about, but they're having a hard time. And if you're in the audience, if you wanna have a comment, if you move closer to the owl, that would also be good. Just so that we're all on. the same page.
All right, let's move to Nanowall Systems.
Good evening. I'm Todd Wright, the representative of the Nanowall Company. With me tonight are two of the Nanas. Aman, who's the one of the owners, and his Casa, Nana, who is the plant manager. When we were here in April, we left with two questions. One was a concern about urban tilth and whether or not this development might cast shadows over it. So we did two things. We drew a graphic and we went over and met with Doria and Louise to walk it. And I think we all concluded by looking that we're over 1,000 feet away. There's no way that we can cast a shadow. We understood it was a concern when there was a proposal on the directly adjacent site. So I think that we've got that. I'm happy to answer questions about it. The second question was about employment opportunity and how do we hire? So that's why we have brought the plant manager to explain sort of how the employment takes place and who the employees are and a bit about where they come from. So if you come over here and.
So, as you said, my name is Qasim and I'm the plant manager. Currently we have 42 employees at our place, and we have had over 75% of the people there for close to 10 years. So we have very little turnover. These people are happy working here. Another about 20% have been there for over 2 to 3 years. My first two new hires in 2 years were just this past 2 months ago. So since 2022, I hadn't hired anybody else. We have very little turnover and people enjoy working there. And the way we hire is kind of a old school way that has worked for us. It's either we have walk-ins or word of mouth. Just to give you an example of the amount of walk-ins we get in just the last 2 weeks, I've had 4 people walk in looking for an application. And oftentimes these people are local people of the community, and the reason I know that is they're either walking there or they're on a bike. So this method is something that's worked for us, and we'll continue to use it. But as we continue to grow and expand, we're also going to be looking for additional employees. And if there's opportunities for us to put postings here, that's something that we would certainly be looking to do. Is there any additional questions that you guys have regarding?
Yeah, would you be willing to some preference process?
So, as I said, many of the walk-ins are pretty much from this local area, in terms of the applications we get, and those are the first ones that I'm looking at. It is a benefit for me to have anybody here local because we have hours that start early. So we start at 6 a.m. Having somebody local means they have a short commute. Short commute means that long-term, these employees are going to want to stay here, both for the fact that it's easier to get here that early in the morning, but also we've lost people in years past, potentially because of longer commute. with gas prices going up, the toll if they live far away. So it's beneficial for the employee, but it's also beneficial for us to have people in the local area.
So you agree with that? Also, it's a. One, the only thing I'm asking about is to continue something more formal process, not to interfere with, your long projected process. But that their first source plan, you go by that preference before you.
Yeah, well, essentially, that's what we're kind of
I'm
doing.
saying something more.
A written agreement,
Yeah, something.
it's something that you tell us what you want us to do. I mean, we'd like to hire locally, benefits us, benefit the community. And I'm not sure because right now we're using a low tech, old method of hiring. Not using website, but in the past we did, field manager or passing before was, we did try Richmond Works, and we're willing to try. If you tell us, hey, there's a posting here, come and advertise here, we're willing to do that.
Well, we can give you a proposal, basically.
Okay, sure.
We also have the local resource center, like, Jackson Way. So whenever you do a hiring, you go to that location. You can go out and post. Yeah.
Yeah. And it could also be as easy as just you email me any job opening, and then I make sure I get it to CHC and the resource center, and we just like create a little process where we're like reaching into the community. CHC does a lot of outreach, and they're gonna host like even this Friday a community awareness day to kind of let the community know what resources, jobs, and opportunities exist. So it would be as easy as like, oh, let's make some copies and distribute it at a table. Let's post it at the resource center. Let's send it out in an Opportunity newsletter. So for you, it would be a very low hanging fruit. It would just be like emailing it to me, and then we would get the word out.
That's fine.
And do it.
Or any other thing you want us to do, some websites,
Yeah, I would ask you to keep it, you just hide, where do they, are they from the area or are they from Canada?
One of them is from the area, he was a walk-in, and one of them is, reference from somebody else from the college. So out of our 43 employees, 33 have been with us, 75% have been with us for more than 7 years, so they're happy with what we're providing, and I think it works both ways.
I don't know, just want to say that I appreciate you all, you going to Irvington and talking to Irvington, that's exactly the type of, cooperative organizing that we need, right, and cooperation with each other, is in each other's space and home. And I appreciate y'all coming here and talking about, I was gonna mention the resource center, so I will definitely, love to have a formal agreement, something in signature that, that you can, point to the resource center first, and then you gotta.
I think, let's see, the map is, see,
Yeah, I don't know. I think that we can talk about before some form of meeting. Yeah, thought we had a conversation about what that means. I don't know if we got into the detail. Trying to meet.
We didn't get into the details of it, but they did meet with Doria and Adela from Urbantown, and Urbantown did share with them that they're looking at installing windows as part of their phase 3. So Nano also that they're willing to help with that, because they're using their windows for the community center, for the community room and other spaces. And I think that they'll kind of.
they'll put something together and send me the plans this morning. We'll take a look at it and we'll do our best to contribute.
Yeah, we had already specified the animal
Yeah.
for the community, because there's such beautiful doors that allow you to get out and blend with the outdoors.
And we had a good meeting. They were kind enough to show us the whole facility and the project and the plans and, I mean, I come here almost every 2, 3 months, but I was wondering what's going on, all this activity at the corner, and put a program, it was something that, and I think our workers will also appreciate it, because with the cafe and future, instead of going anywhere for lunch, there's the organic place close by.
Yeah, question, as a, so, the last time I looked at what you were offering, you were, are you building more?
No, we assemble, a door system with glass and aluminum. So as our business grows, we want to plan for the future and expand or build another. It's not gonna happen right away. So right now, our business is growing organically, because depending on the economy, we're optimistic. But we also have so we produce some systems here. The other systems we import from Germany. So the plan is, once we expand, we can have more products that are manufactured locally as well.
I think what I might help with this, Tonya, can you go to, sure. If you go to, perhaps, yeah, if you can show that on the screen, it may be helpful. If, go to page 6.
Did you all, I mean, does it look like?
Yeah.
It was all the way over?
Oh, let's go back to the
Actually,
second.
This is a great,
Okay. Right there. Hold it for that.
so, so this is their existing 755 Brookside, and this is the land where you look.
Yes.
And then after this, there is the
Eucalyptus.
orchids and all those other folks and a bunch of greenhouses, and then after that is the other property. So they're a ways away.
Yeah, if you go back up to the second one for a moment.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about was the traffic. Is it already gonna be development plans?
Stop. Yes, this shows how far, we're over 1,000 feet away. There are a series of properties between the Nana expansion and Urban Tilt. And when we stood out there, all 4 of us, and we looked back towards the Nana property, we really can't see any. In terms of the traffic question, we did address this in our last presentation, but the important issue is trucks. You know, we start really early in the morning and we leave mid-afternoon, but we will be adding approximately 2 trucks per day when we have this fully built out. Because really what we're doing in there, and now if you will go to page 6, if you could, Tanya, it'll help explain what we do. We build those glass walls. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, right there. This is the manufacturing that we do on Brookside Drive. So we bring in the glass, we bring in the aluminum frame systems that go around them, and all the hardware to hang these glass doors that slide for an entire wall. So it's really, I think the supervisor was kind of really impressed that this is a very clean facility, where what people do there is they learn and they assemble the final part of the products, the window systems and doors. Okay.
One question, so is this, for residential purchase also, you have contract that
We do both residential and we also do commercial. So we do a lot of school projects, restaurants like various projects. And we also do stadiums. So a lot of yeah, somebody wants a big opening and people like that, indoor, outdoor.
So the other thing, would you guys do 2 tanks or 3 tanks, and is this clean? You
so basically, we buy our glass from a company in Santa Rosa called Turtle Sun. And we can do double insulated glass, or basically, for us, it doesn't matter, it could be any glass. Our main thing is being able to open up the whole opening.
So you don't have any specific, feel really, you know, really, looking at the, I guess, the business for having green buildings, somewhere, some manufacturers are building green.
Right, I think in this case, this is really the parts are coming in and they're being assembled. So inherently green, we don't have any gas, we don't have welding, we don't have oils. This is
At this
really
point, like I
like,
said, you shouldn't be calling yourself manufacturing, you're just assembling.
So this is the assembly.
You did it.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the assembly.
Yeah. That's helpful to describe, and when you've seen the inside of it, it's pretty, you know, it's amazing. It's a nice place to work, yeah. Are there any other?
So you just assemble it, you sell it, and you just also sell it?
Yes,
Do you guys consider doing any giving back to the community or specifically like Verde Elementary? Or where they use it back to this, essentially helping I'm thinking about the new construction stuff that's gonna happen on both sides. And how it's gonna be looking at some of your toxins and stuff like that, so I don't know what kind of like, you know, protection the toxins and all that stuff has, and how perhaps, you know, if you would be willing to give back to the community in that way. And in turn, it would follow the students, offer a little bit more protection for section check.
I think we have an example here with Urban Tilt, is that the architect who was designing and the owner of the project, if they say, we're interested in an animal system, then Nanowall can get involved and engaged, one, to make sure it's the right application for their type of wall. Secondly, that the details work, and I speak from this because for another client, I just installed 3 of these walls. And thirdly, they look at how can they assist in terms of making it economic. You know, it wouldn't be necessarily a complete donation, but it could be the family discount.
Yeah, and so like that's helpful, something
Yeah.
to bring back to.
So basically, our target, besides the manufacturing, our target is architects, so we have architects specify our product. So it really depends on whether the project is appropriate for our product or not. The decision that architect, the owner, either the homeowner, the business owner.
That's, unless you have other questions.
Any other questions for anyone? I think this is an action item.
Yeah, this will be their 3rd or 4th time coming, so they've been very patient, and I really do appreciate you continuing to come back, to give more information, to talk to Urban Tilt and others, and just your commitment to continue to communicate with us, give us updates. And to how you look.
Yeah, 2 questions, one, back, you might have, That's you.
I just wanted to say I used to be an interior designer in my former life. And this is a beautiful product. Now while I have the opportunity to work on a couple of high-end residential projects, and it's a beautiful, beautiful product. So I just wanted to say that to you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, my interest lies, I've gone to a couple of city hall meetings about Chevron and how they're gonna give back to the community, they're gonna redo the windows to help with the pollution of the area. So it would be nice to be able to spend locally. So for those who don't necessarily, you know, are gonna get a handout or any kind of government assistance, it's nice to know that if it's a possibility that, you know, that you do residential stuff. That will fit under that umbrella, it would be nice to spend my money locally, knowing that I have to turn around. So, it's nice to know that the business is there. So, So it's nice, because I mean, they already asked the questions as far as the quality of work.
Any other questions on mine?
And one comment, in my comment, with clarification, just mentioned, my question.
Yeah.
This is not a manufacturing. These are pieces that are brought in and they are assembled.
Yes,
They're not about, they are assembled.
they are some.
Clarification, they are assembled.
Yeah.
Assembly line, assembly.
Well, it's important to explain.
Well, this is, no, it is different fabrication, but we
Yeah.
have chemicals, we have everything, we do, we have different offsets. So
Right.
this is assembly. This is assembly.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions or comments. I didn't think of one.
So, Mr. Chair, I make a motion. And my motion is to, for the system, the wall system planning unit. I just move forward, this is your third time coming, so I think that my, proposal now is to, I guess, be in agreement with you all.
Need a second? Maybe right here, you choose. All in favor, I know you by saying aye. Opposed, abstention.
Thank you very much.
And on the agreement or whatever you need, I mean, we're willing to work on it. I mean, it really makes sense for us to try locally. It's your commute, people take long.
Yeah, and Scotty followed up with you,
Like I said earlier, it's easy for somebody to 10 minutes away versus a half an hour.
Of course, this is for the meetings, you want to balance. Yes, that's why I don't know.
You can't buy it for residential, really not part of that. So,
So it's not like. Oh, sorry. Thank you.
Thank you. We're gonna move on to urban tip, solar, on the press.
So.
I'm sorry, it's a little warm.
No, that's okay, please, like. Want everybody refreshed and comfortable.
Okay, sorry.
No problem at all. In fact, we can, oh, and Princess is right there. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity to present. My name is Adela Ho, and I am the construction project manager for Urban Tilt for the North Richmond Farm project. Slide. The farm project, as I'm sure that you know, but just in case anybody doesn't, the farm is a place where we plan to have healthy food, education, job training, and resources for the community. Really a place to learn and to grow. And in this farm, we plan to construct it in phases, and we are well into construction, I am happy to say. First phase was to construct the rain gardens along Fred Jackson Way, which you have seen out there now. And also to do all the underground utilities to the site. The second phase, which is all in construction right now, is to construct all the farm facilities at the back of the farm. And those are greenhouses, our watershed workshop for the watersheds team, staff break room, tool shed, the very first permitted composting toilet in Contra Costa County. And, which is demonstrating how you can have a toilet that does not use water. Anyway, so that's phase 2, and we're also constructing a portion of the history walk, which is this path that goes all the way through the site. Phase 3, which is the next phase, is the main barn, which will have our wash and pack for the veggie box program, a community room, and a farm stand where you can buy fresh stuff. And then phase 4 is the main office for Urban Tilt, community kitchen, commercial kitchen that will be available for rental for emerging businesses in the area, and also to provide food to cook food to be served at the cafe that will be there. Phase 5 will be a lonely reflection garden, and the reason that for that is that this whole area right here is an archaeological site, and so we want to keep things in this area shallow so that we don't disturb it. And that's the overview of the project. So as I said, next slide, we are in construction of phase 2, and I'll just show you what we've got in construction right now. This is the main greenhouse and parking yard, and that is in construction right now. Next slide. Our watershed workshop or watershed learning center. And this will be the home for the Basins of Relations program and the programs that we have for the community as well, educating about watersheds. It will also have a little outdoor classroom next to it with a watershed model to show how water flows through the watershed. Next slide. This is actually the watershed workshop a few weeks ago. It's even further along now. And this is our tool shed and staff break room. Also a few weeks ago, those are both further along now. These are the 2 buildings that we are proposing for this phase to put solar power. And for that, we actually have partnered with Grid Alternative, and we have already gone through a bit of design and have the estimated kilowatt hour production and cost. And so basically that is ready to go once it is funded. Next slide. This shows you just a little sketch from how everything would fit on the watershed workshop. The panels would be up here, and then it has all its inverters, etc., all the electrical stuff that it connects to. Next slide. And then on the tool shed, the panels would go on the portion of the roof where the workers are standing, and similarly we have that already designed, just waiting for funding. Next slide. The main barn now. The main barn will be, as I said, it will have our wash and pack and the farm stand and the community room. Next slide. And at the community room, and this was developed actually, as you probably well know, with after a couple of years of working with the community and getting input in terms of what does the community of North Richmond want to see at the farm. And Tanya was heavily involved at that time. She was with Urban Tilt at that time, and we had lots of community input. And one of the big things was a place where you could gather and you could have events and you could have birthday parties and you could do organizing and things like that. So that is what this community room is being designed for. And we'll have walls here on the other side, so that you can kind of spill out from the community room onto the patio. There will also be a children's garden right next to that. And the other thing with this community room and the main barn is we're envisioning it as a center for resilience, not only for the community to be able to organize and get together, but also to be a safe harbor in a climate emergency. I mean, we have wildfires that give us bad air. We have bad pollution days. We have refinery releases, and, we have hot weather like now and even hotter. And so this has been designed to, with solar on the roof and also a battery backup. And go to the next slide for that. And the battery backup is a huge bank of batteries that would keep basic functions in this area, including cooling for the produce and things in the farm stand, and cooling for the community room, for 2 to 3 days. And so that is the big resilient aspect of this. We're looking at partnering with a variety of other organizations in terms of providing more services to the community, fire kits, et cetera. And that all kind of wraps up, the urban health programming just kind of wraps up into that and fits really nicely with this building. So the battery backup now is a lot more expensive than what we were, just the solar panels on the phase 2 buildings. As you can see, it's quite a bit more, but this is, again, storage to keep this operation going for 2 to 3 days. As I had mentioned before, next slide. We have partnered, that's kind of hard to read. I'll just kind of summarize it for you. We've partnered with Grid Alternatives, and Grid Alternatives is you may have heard of them. They're very socially conscious company. They have a local presence. Their mission is, and I'm quoting from their website, to build community-powered solutions to advance economic and environmental justice through renewable energy, which, their mission kind of melds really well with Urban Tilth's. They are also the nation's largest nonprofit installer of clean energy systems. And they have a really robust workforce development program, which is one of the things that we have been looking to for the contractors that we're using for the North Richmond Farm project. We have a local hire goal for all of them. And so Grid Alternatives is able to meet that. And so we are very excited to be partnered with them. Right now, we are pulling together funding to build the main barn, phase 3, and also to do the solar on phase 2. And what our request from the MAC is, we are requesting a letter that would be in support of using North Richmond funds that are collected from developers for solar and clean energy projects. A letter of support to use those funds that are designated for solar to support the Urban Tilth solar installations at the farm that I just described. So that's our request, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Can I also share a little bit about the solar fund? Because I believe this is the first time we ever talk about it at the MAC. And so the county has a solar fund designated for North Richmond. And so in the industrial part of North Richmond, whenever a development happens, they put in money into the solar fund. And it's like a requirement of the development. And so that's how we have about a little bit over 900K in this solar fund. And so Supervisor Joya wants to make sure that anyone who wants a piece of the solar fund comes to the MAC and presents a project. And so in this case, it would total around 600K, right? For both phases, it would be 600K would be the request for tonight.
So let me clarify, both phases, so 300 for this one and 300 for
No, it would be-
or the total is
The total 600, the first phase is 50, the second phase for the community center is 550 because of the battery, the cost of the battery.
Yeah, but what kind of batteries, I know that, other entities are looking at the Tesla battery.
Mhm.
What is the battery? What is the battery?
Thank you, Annie. And then there was also another comment, just to piggyback off the battery question. They asked like, how long does the battery last? Like the lifespan of the battery, like when would it have to be replaced? You know, after how many years? And if it's not used, you know, would that have any effect on it? That was some of the, a comment in the,
But it's
So-
solar generator. Solar generator, right?
So it would operate similar to, you mentioned the Tesla, you know, like the power wall that people have at their home. And this would operate similar to that in that, you know, the solar power would go to the battery bank. And then we could use the power from the stored in the batteries to power portions of the farm during key specific times, you know, and so it's the same sort of thing. So we would constantly be recharging the batteries and using them, but you set it so that you have what you need when there's an emergency, when you know there are storms, you know there are bad air days coming, you can set it so you say, well, I don't want to use that much power right now. I want to make sure that I've got a full battery bank for in case we have to be down for 2 to 3 days. So you can adjust that. So the lifespan of the batteries, I need to check on that. I'm thinking that it's somewhere between 5 to 10 years, but I will check on that. And then the make of the batteries, I actually don't remember what make they are.
I really think the comparison for, cost effective, if we I guess, the generate the facilities for, in comparison, what would be the savings for that side?
Ooh,
You haven't thought, haven't did any type of, comparables, this next side, this, this facility opposed to other facilities, and what would be going, and what would be saving, and what would be the benefit of, saving for putting this type of, this type of facility.
that's an excellent question. I don't have the report we actually have that in a report. With the battery backup though, the actual, like, you know how for a residential system, you have like, oh, it'll be X number of years and then you will have paid it off, and you use that to kind of figure out the economics of it. With a battery backup like this, the payoff is much, much longer. It's like 30 years. And the reason is just those huge battery banks are so expensive. And so the reason though that we still want to do it is to be able to be self-sufficient and be a resource, a place for the community to come when we have those emergencies. So, yeah.
It sounds dope. I'm excited about it. But I was like a little thrown off when you said like the funds from the county, they got development fund, like all the developers put together for the solar fund. And so like that's shocking. I didn't know that was a thing. And it just makes me think about like all the other different projects or the like community projects that are happening to receive these funds as well. And Urban Tech is already taking up 600 of the 900. So I'm a little concerned about that, but I'm like excited about the project. So I'm like in between. But yeah, so, and it makes me think about when you say like the battery, I definitely think that we need one because like, yeah, if something happens and if you like, some natural disaster happens, people want to shelter at the farm that's really close to So I really love the idea of it. Fun, all accounts, they are in how much one, you know, institute can receive, because this is, we're at 60% of the total budget.
Yeah, from my understanding, no, it's a new fund that was developed, not that long ago. And it was also my first time hearing about it through this process, you know, so I can still collect more information about it, because from my understanding, if other big developments happen, they would also have to put into the fund as well. So it's not closed to additional funding, right? So that I
And
can,
is this county-wide funding?
No.
Or this specifically for North Richmond?
this is specifically
So-
for North Richmond.
So it's,
It's like 940.
so it's like a developer fee.
It was
It's a-
part of the development and
Yeah.
from my understanding, it was for a public good. It was to be for, you know, a public facility, because it was part of a community benefits agreement. It has to kind of benefit the public, but I can also get more information.
So my guess would be, I'm just guessing, that, you know, if you have a development come in, that's gonna have an impact.
A big impact.
You know, like whether it's vehicular or whatever, that then you can charge developer fees, but there has to be a nexus. So that's where the solar, you know, there must be, in the language, there must be something that relates that solar benefit for the community to the
Right.
impacts of.
I mean, I
development.
like the
Yeah.
fund idea, right? Like,
Yeah,
developers should be putting money into something like this.
Yeah.
I just never heard of it, and so like to get out more entities to take advantage of it. When there are other developments happening, you know, I was just kind of shocked. I didn't know what was going on.
yeah. And it would leave
Five,
about
7.
300 something for, you know, left, you know, in the pot. And I think there's no like, progress that like set in stone in a sheet or something. So right now, since, you know, their phase is kind of coming up, right? If the watershed, at least the first phase, right, the 50K, the buildings are up, they're running, so it's kind of like a time sensitive thing. But they also have like the phase 3 included as well, you know, so, you know, it could be that if you feel comfortable only doing the 50K now for their immediate phases, and then they come back for the additional, that could be something, right? If you're not feeling comfortable with that amount.
For anybody that wants to use this money, will have to come before the mall. And you
Yeah, I think it's like in the past, probably the past 40 years or so, I think. Yeah, so out of the 945K, I believe, Urban Health is requesting 600 in total. And that would cover the watershed, the tool shed, and then the community center. And what they're saying, like, you know, part of their public good is that those facilities are open to the public, right? It's technically considered a park. The farm is considered a park, and it's open to the public and for free. And that, you know, in the case of an emergency, you know, whether it be a heat wave or whether it be, you know, wildfires, it would be a cooling center, you know, they would provide those services, right? That, you know, as of now for North Richmond, the unincorporated area, we don't have a facility like this. So, you know, if people want to go, they would have to go to Shields Reed, you know, and Shields Reed is not very large, you know, so I feel like, and it's not air conditioned, so technically, we don't have a place as of now that has AC that can really cool and stuff like that, so I feel like it would be a great benefit to the community, because it would be the closest facility, you know, to cool down.
Just like, you know,
Yeah.
my own.
Yeah.
Getting all your funding from one source. Because then it limits anybody else's ability to that same funding. And it seems like, you know, a lot of people don't know about it.
Yeah.
And they're gonna come, they're gonna want it, and it's gonna all done, I would say,
So the required issue, there may be, we should spend some time seeing the good that we come from, have some equitable way of figuring out what that process is. Because I just learned about that, and you know, lost Delta's home, I mean, it's a whole bunch of stuff that can happen, get to school.
And I can also get more information around, what would qualify for it, right? Because from the brief emails that we had, from my understanding, it has to be a public good impact, right? It was like funding put into a pot of funding for solar for the public good. So I think it may have to be like, can the public access
Yeah, I don't think it's nothing against,
Yeah.
you know, but I think what we're doing is great, but the process and how we get there matters. It's almost like somebody knew and applied when nobody's.
And I think that's one of the really good to know, too, is like how practical or not practical are we thinking about letting other businesses in the area know that this is true. So it could be, you know, more of a, yes.
Yeah.
But, is there, when is there a percentage that, is there a platform?
I believe it's what Adele is talking about. Like if the business is gonna have a negative impact, you know, given the size of it, I think a lot of the money came from the warehouse that got installed, like that got developed and stuff like that. So it was kind of like, okay, you're gonna develop this huge building and warehouse and have a bunch of trucks coming in and out. Like you need to, it was part of the community benefits agreement package that they all agreed on, was to create this solar fund. And, you know, I can, at the next meeting, I can collect as much information as I can and kind of put a 1-2 pager for you all to kind of review. And then at that point, you know, I don't know when you would want Urban Tufts to come back, whether it would be next time or in 2 months, but I also want to know if you have a timeline, because I know the watershed project center is, moving quickly.
Yeah. So the first part for phase 2, that 50,000, that we kind of need to know soon. So we know whether to put the brackets up on the roof and all that. We have a little bit more time for phase 3. But we're, like I said, we're trying to put together the funding package for all of phase 3. So, you know, because we would like to move right into that after phase 2. But, you know, there's other funding pieces we have to put in. This is just one piece. Yeah, we're talking about. I'm not, yeah. One thing I would say is also might be helpful for the map, if there's some way of, you know, if there's any projections of, you know, because I know that the county, you know, they plan, you know, you have a planning looks at like what the future build out is of certain areas. And I mean, if you're able to provide also a projection of what does this fund look like as you move into the future, you know, because it's not going to be this static 900. There's going to be more development. And so that might be helpful to the map.
I would agree to first phase of those disciplines, and then I would like to know the process, having more information from the county or the process, how to apply for these funds, and what it is.
What is the 50,000?
The 50,000 would cover their immediate phase, which is the watershed center, the tool shed, which is like almost completed, and they have to decide, do we put the brackets for the solar panels or do we omit that? You know, do
So
we?
it's not just the brackets, it's for the whole thing.
No,
Yeah, so it's the 50,000 will take care of solar panels, the whole system for phase 2. So that's the watershed workshop and the tool shed farm breakthrough.
And my, how far off, what are we looking at timeline? Are we looking at 6 months or less than 6 months? That was one of my questions that I want to talk about. What is the timeline you're looking at?
Yeah.
Because the money's there.
So those buildings are supposed to be completed in September.
September, okay, so the 50,000 will be, you'll be able to
Utilize it.
complete that and utilize that 50,000 to take care of certain buildings within that scope of time.
Right.
And then out, we're looking at the other third phase that is coming in, that is looking at the battery system, that is looking at $500,000, correct? What is that timeline? How long will it take from September to put that in place?
That's another year and a half.
Okay, a year and a half, so you don't have to talk it up right now. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
You have time to work with that. And looking at the specific plan that is coming, to see what other entities are coming in that may be putting more money in the cost, right?
Mhm.
Any other questions?
So,
We talked about a couple of buildings.
Yeah, I think definitely once, I go back to the drawing board and talk to Supervisor Joy and collect more information, I think, it makes sense to create a process, you know, where we have an open application period, you know, and take applications, and then we would have to create a system for selection, right? But I think for us, it's important for the MAC to be aware, you know, of any funds that are being moved around and stuff. So this was happening very quickly, you know, because of the construction's happening now, so it's very fast approaching, so I think that's why it was kind of like, go to the MAC and, see if they approve of this, and so I'm happy to, yeah.
well, I think that's the selection process.
Huh?
I can get a construction date out.
What do you mean?
Have something starting in September.
Well, the solar is an add-on to the construction that is slated to be completed in September. So, yeah.
But what have been coming to the MAC for the selection process?
Right now, this is the impromptu process, but let's say CHDC wants to apply for the grocery store, would they have to abstain from the vote? You know, Annie's on the board, will she need to abstain from the vote? Do we still have quorum? You know, like, we would have to kind of answer some of those questions.
Is it package that, or the information that you're gonna give us regarding the fund? Are we able to provide information as far as what people plans are gonna be the very next vote?
They already they have the most robust community benefits agreement from all of the developments in North Richmond, and I can share that. And we are very, late.
I know.
We still have 2 presentations. just
Okay, but
FYI.
I'm gonna really be quick.
Okay.
Because I want to talk to it. I was out of town when the presentation groundwork was being building of the whole thing of that form.
Oh, wow.
But just from my clarification, just everybody else, what is this installation unit for compost toilet? What compost is gonna? What type of compost is gonna dissolve whatever is in place?
So the composting toilet actually looks like so the waste goes down into there's a machine
It's a machine, so.
that basically grinds it up.
We have a store. So.
Yeah.
And to do this is the extra cost.
What do you mean?
Well, you know, to have them on site, is it electric? The solar is doing, okay, that's why I'm just trying to figure out what it is, so that's one of the things we got from the green that's going on right now. A huge project, millions of dollars.
Oh, no.
Okay, so I'm thinking, why not this be added, we got something already going on, and, you know, at the wastewater.
At the wastewater?
So, just for your information, the compost from the composting toilet is not yet allowed for use on crops in California.
Okay.
And we are, Occidental Arts and Ecology Center is kind of a trailblazer in this, and they are working on it. So for now, that compost will be hauled away, just like West County wastewaters. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But someday, maybe it can be.
I know we have a public comment and then we really need to make a vote.
Now, this is a very great question, and I don't know if it's related to that, but about the solar batteries and all that solar thing that is going on, is there any study or anything that will adversely affect our health of people around? And then anybody else? And not because of this, because you know that it's big, you know, this already have solar, but I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna go for it. And I will be thinking that it will have in the future, you know, over time, will affect our health.
So concern about whether the solar system that with the batteries could have an impact on health? We are not aware of any negative impacts of that. Yeah, because it's pretty much contained at the site and all the batteries are contained within, you know, specific types of containers. And so, I imagine if there was like a huge fire and it exploded, that might be a problem, but you know. Yeah, yeah.
So we're gonna,
Okay.
so we're open now for a motion to do the
The second phase, the second phase of the 50,000.
we need to, let's
Well-
so, if you move to second, all in favor, I would like to say aye.
And it's a letter recommendation.
The letter of recommendation would be for.
Yeah, to the board of supervisors.
Maybe just the board of supervisors or riders.
Okay, all in favor, everybody say aye. Oh, I will entertain another motion to talk about, how we will go back and visit this to set guidance.
For the solar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's moved and second,
I said,
all in favor? That's approved.
Okay, and I just wanna
Thank you very
thank
much.
you, and it's 6:38, and we have 2 presentations and all the community groups. So just everyone, please be mindful of time.
All right, so we're gonna move to item 6, Richmond Field Assessment.
Yeah, they're on Zoom. Marcia, do you wanna share your screen, or do you want me to share?
So you're talking to me? Okay, I can share my screen, or it looks like you have the presentation, but it'd probably be easier for me. So can you see my screen?
Now we can, yes.
Okay, great. LaShonda White from the city of Richmond is in the waiting room. So if you could possibly let her in, there she is. Okay, awesome. So my name is Marcia Valier. I'm a landscape architect. I work for CSW. Been in Richmond since 1990. And we were asked by the city of Richmond to conduct a field assessment. And the field assessment was reviewing existing parks within the city of Richmond to identify the upgrades to courts and fields, as well as soccer fields for recreation practice and competition to address level of service deficits that the city has within their park system and identified in their plan. So overall, the city has 50 city parks, almost 250 acres. And we have a very rich landscape of 7 regional parks, as well as a national historical park within the city. However, we've got some deficits, which I'll talk a little bit about. The population for the city has increased by probably around 11,000 between 2010 and 2020. And what we found was 26% of the population is under the age of 18, which makes it really important for us to have fields and places for children to play, as well as 14% of the population is 65 years of age or older. And so we have this very large portion of our population that is, either younger or older, and they need places to recreate and places for, and places in parks. So when there's a level of service that is identified, the city of Richmond did a plan in 2010, and came up with a level of service of 3 acres of community and neighborhood parks to 1,000 residents. And so when you look at that, you can see all these little green squares. There are parks within the city, and the colored areas are city council districts. So you can see that there's parks around, but some areas have more parks, some areas have less. So this standard was established to have 3 acres of park per 1,000 people. But when we look at the population, we have 2.12 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents. And so, some districts meet these standards and some don't. So we have an overall deficit within the city. So when we look at the city council districts, the areas in red are those districts that do not meet the 3 acres, and the districts in green do meet the 3 acres per 1,000. But then when we look a little bit closer, 4 of the 6 districts aren't and don't have as many parks as they might have. But when we look at putting in and factoring in the regional parks, District 2 comes out pretty well, because there's probably, I think it's 2,700 acres of public regional park that can be attributed or very adjacent to those communities. And so when we're looking at level of service deficits, districts 1, 3, and 6, sort of the central core of Richmond, and the North Richmond ball fields, this area, it really doesn't meet the level of service standard. And so we started saying, okay, what can we do? So those are the areas that we started to begin to target. The other thing that we did is we looked at the number of fields that a community has. For instance, baseball has 1 field per 4,400 people. And so in 2010, there was not a deficit, but now there's a small deficit. Softball started to get a little bit more of a deficit. Football, about a half a field short. Basketball, 6 courts short. But when you look at soccer, you can see in 2010, they had 19 fields they were short, and now we have 23 fields that are short. So we're looking at trying to make sure that there's play area for everybody within the existing parks. So for soccer, we started talking to the soccer groups. They currently practice at Tom Bates Regional Park. You can see it from I-80 as you drive by. Martin Luther King Jr. Park, Booker T. Anderson, Country Club Vista, Shields Reed, Nickel Park, and Wendell Park. So that's where soccer plays. And then we look at baseball, football, and softball. There's a couple of overlaps. Booker T. Anderson Park, Nickel Park, Boyd, Eldon Garcia, North Richmond ball fields, and Tiller Park. That's where the other fields sports play. Basketball, exterior basketball, they're not leagues that play, but we were looking at that to see if we could come up with some additional court space as well. So there are 15 parks that have basketball courts within the city, and these green circles can show you that the fact that they're distributed fairly well around the city. So our findings were that so if we want to be able to provide places for kids to play, what do we need to make sure that our parks are viable? We need parking. We need accessible path of travel so people can get in to the parks and safely from an ADA standpoint. Restrooms and drinking fountains are important. Spectator area, fencing to keep the balls and kids in off of streets and out of people's yards and backyards. Play area for non-participating siblings, storage areas for equipment, and lighting for evening play. Those were the big things that all of the groups talked about needing to be able to facilitate field play. So we looked at all of the neighborhood and community level parks, and there are 18 to 20 parks that can accommodate soccer. and that 17 neighborhood, 3 community, and then there are some joint use sites that we'll be working on over time. So the recommendations we had to the city council was to pursue renovation of parks and fields that are used by the clubs and prioritize the parks in the underserved districts. And again, you know, that area in the central core. So we started looking, okay, where do the groups play and where do we really need parks? The other thing that we talked a little bit about is the fact that we want to increase maintenance, staff and budget to keep the parks and fields in really good and usable condition, especially in those areas. We want to pursue some joint use with West Contra Costa. Say, for instance, we want to do something at Lavagna Dijon right next to Nickel Park to expand. You know, those types of things we wanted to look at. And then we wanted to prepare a long-term strategy for the renovation of these parks and get some community input on the priority in park design. And that's one of the reasons we're here tonight. So the city council really took this very seriously. And so they've allocated $7.7 million total, 4.2 million from the American Rescue Plan Act, which are called ARPA funds from fiscal year 23-24, and an additional 3.5 from 24-25 to improve the fields, courts, lighting, restrooms, and expand the usability of these fields. And again, the parks were selected where the groups play and in the underserved districts. So that brought us to 3 parks: Wendell Park, which is in District 1, Shields Reed Park, which is in District 2, and Martin Luther King Park, which is in District 3. And so we're here mostly to talk a little bit about Shields Reed Park because that's most adjacent to you. So what we've been doing is we've gone to the neighborhood councils and we're here tonight at the MAC to make sure that we talk to the neighborhood groups about what we're proposing in these parks. So for Shields Reed, we're going to your group, and then in June, we're going to be going to the Shields Reed Neighborhood Council. Then Martin Luther King Park, we went to the Santa Fe neighbor and the Coronado neighborhood councils. Wendell Park, we went to the north and east. And then after this meeting, we're going to be going and having a larger meeting in July or August to broaden out and talk to the community at large. The Wendell Park improvements, this is a neighborhood level park, and you can see we need to do some irrigation upgrades. It looks like a really cool pattern, but it's not good from a play standpoint. So the red is the outline of the park. And what we're looking to do is we're looking to redo the softball infield, put in new fencing around the perimeter, and redo the irrigation and the grass in this area so we can have a full-size U13 soccer field. We're looking at doing a little bit of lighting. Now, we're not going to be doing the large stadium type lighting. This would be like neighborhood level lighting that would sort of light the perimeter of the park so it's not completely dark. And then we're looking at doing potentially a single stall restroom because this is one of the parks that the soccer groups play at, and they really need a restroom. Neighborhood level parks are typically the parks that you can walk to in a community, so you don't usually have bathrooms. But since this particular park is used quite heavily for soccer play, we're proposing to do a small restroom. We're actually, when we talked to the neighborhood council, they kind of went right here on the end of the cul-de-sac, so it'll be easier to see. And it'll be easy from a utility standpoint. If we have additional funds, we're going to be doing some additional work with some benches and trash cans and potentially giving some attention to the play area. The Shields Reed Park, right now the Prop 68 grant has been awarded and it's going to start. That has a lot of wonderful things in it. It's got play areas, an amphitheater, it's got a little pump track. So that's happening right now. They're also going to be paving and resurfacing the basketball courts and putting in some small lights around the basketball court. But what we're proposing to do is we're proposing to put in the larger stadium level lights on the field, redoing the infield and all of this grass area in artificial turf, coming up with a new perimeter fence. And then since there's a new restroom and it's right next to the community center, we're actually looking at putting a drinking fountain, but not an additional restroom, because there's enough restrooms in the park, and especially in the new project. Excuse me. So that's what we're looking at doing at Shields Reed. And then at Martin Luther King Jr. Park, which the turf was just redone a couple of years ago, the turf and the track. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to upgrade that restroom structure. Basically, what we're proposing is stripping it down to just the walls and the roof, and replacing the doors and windows, the exterior drinking fountain, and making sure there's a bottle filler. And replacing all the interior fixtures. We're going to repaint and do new lights and signage. So it will look like this when it's done. So those are the 3 projects that we're proposing. And the next steps, of course, we're coming to you to talk to you about what we're going to be doing there, but also what we're going to try and do is get our plans and cost estimates and everything together so that we can go out to bid and get these things installed by next year. So I'm going to go back 2. So for the Shields Reed Park, I wanted to just check and see if anybody had any additional comments or questions on what we're going to be doing at that park. And stop the screen share. Does anybody have any comments or anything that they'd like to see?
Yes, I want to raise my hand. I think this is Cynthia Jordan. I think I'm unmuted. First of all, we already agreed in our workshops during the coming up with the redevelopment and renovation of Shields and Reed that we did not want any type of artificial turf at the park. And secondly, before you even came up with your plan, I think you should have held community workshops and got community input. That's how we do things in North Richmond. The community comes up and work with these plans with the developer, the proposed person. That's all I have to say.
Thanks, I appreciate that. So basically, all we are going to propose to do is to redo the existing turf. The city council tonight is deciding whether artificial turf is something that the city wants to do or not. And so that presentation will be happening in just a little bit, I think. Anyway, so we can talk a little bit more about it, but basically, if you could tell me, when you did the planning of the park, did you have any conversations about the field at all? Because it was my understanding that there were conversations about getting lighting on that park and redoing the turf.
We talked about redoing the turf, but I think we ruled out anything artificial.
Okay.
It was said something about having artificial grass around the little stage area. And I think some were in agreement with it, especially the lady that's going to be holding most of the concerts. But I think as a community, and you can ask other community members as a whole, I don't think we care for artificial grass. You know, we used to have it natural, and we like to keep it natural.
Okay. Anybody else have issues with artificial or regular grass?
I prefer natural grass, but I heard you say some lighting or a little lighting to diminish the lighting. I thought that we have put an emphasis on active lighting for the state.
That I didn't hear that last part. An emphasis on what?
The amount of lighting. We wanted sufficient lighting in the park, especially after hours.
Yes. So let me tell you one of the things that the leagues and the football, softball, baseball, soccer leagues, they all want to have the larger high mast lights that are kind of like stadium lighting that will light that whole field area. So it'll be playable in the evening. That's what those groups are looking at. And so that's the proposal at this point. That's why we're coming to chat about it.
And, I just like to say with the lighting, the park sits around residential area, houses and stuff like that, and that would have an effect on the people that live around the park. So, you know, with such a small park, and I just don't see some of the things that you propose for Shields and Reed that you could do at other parks in other parts of the city. You just have to take into consideration the locality of Shields and Reed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that, thanks for that. We did look at all of the parks within the city, all of the neighborhood and community level parks. And we found that, again, we're looking at where the leagues play. We're looking at the districts that are the most underserved. And so that's why we made the decision for Wendell, Shields, Reed, and Martin Luther King. And that was done through a fairly extensive process, of our analysis and with the different groups. Now, as far as right now, the leagues play there. There's soccer groups play there all the time, and so all of the league groups are actually very supportive of artificial turf. And one of the things that we've prepared, and we can come back and talk to the neighborhood about this and come back to the MAC. Is we do have a presentation on the pros and cons of artificial turf as well as grass.
Right.
So, yeah, and so there, I know a lot of people have concerns about artificial turf in the fact that, it's about groundwater, PFAS, different types of chemicals. And so the city council is going to be weighing the pros and cons of that versus the playability, the long-term maintenance, the water usage, all those different types of things. And so we can come back and do a presentation on that. We just wanted to give you kind of a heads up on where we were heading with this. Are there any other comments about those fields?
Can you please come to the owl too? Anyone who wants to give comment.
Where? To right here. Right here. Yeah. Hi, I just had a question about, so I've been hearing about the grand design scheme for Shields Reed, and I've seen these great plans and everything. Is this the same landscape company that's doing the design? So my question for you is, are you working with the designers and planners who have come up with all the great idea and the plans I have seen so far for Shields Reed? Are you guys working hand in hand with the overall design?
Yes, we are working hand in hand with the overall design. It's a different landscape architect, Placeworks, but the civil engineering group is CSW, which is the company I work for. The grant did not cover in taking in the field and the field and fencing and the lighting. And so we were able to find additional funds to be able to finish the entire park rather than just doing half of it. And so we are in consultation and working very closely because, our civil engineers did the base design with Placeworks. So yes, we are interfacing with them, but we're not the same company.
Okay, because my main concern is design by community never works out well. So if you're doing one part of a park and then another company is doing another part of the park, and you guys have like different lighting fixtures or that kind of thing, I just wanted to make sure that someone's overlooking the overall design.
Thanks for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, we are in consultation with Jesse over at the Placeworks, as well as, I sit right next to all the civil engineers that are working on the project. So I have the plans, and those of you that know me and have worked with me before know that I'm very sensitive to make sure everything does work together and works well together. So thanks for that question.
Before we move on, I just want to get
Motion, I entertain a motion, and we
have one more presentation.
Okay. The motion is another 15 minutes. Is there a second? Second, good. All right, all in favor, doing by saying aye? Aye. Attention.
My question is the dog aspect of it, are the water faucet's gonna have a smaller thing for the dog?
How many movies don't Michael?
See a lot of dogs come there, just like the A's. There's dog waste bags and trash, and it's heavily used by animals as well. So I was just wondering, is there gonna be a set area where they can be kind of fenced in, because not everybody likes dogs? And then two, I don't know about astroturf and dog poop, so is there gonna be like, if it is that, how often is it gonna be watered to kind of, you know, for the owners that aren't that good at picking up their stuff after their animals? I just kind of wonder the animal aspect, because everybody in this neighborhood has a dog, if not more than one. So I just don't see how that field isn't gonna become part dog. So I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
Thanks. Did you want me to answer that? So there are dog waste stations. Since this is considered, the overall city plans and the original plan for the park was for this to be a sports field and to be part of the level of service that the city offers. So this was not a dedicated park not a dedicated dog park. We do have a master plan for Unity Park for a dog park, and the city council is looking at additional locations for dog parks. But we do have waste stations, and always, since I'm a big dog lover, we typically, with our drinking fountains, have a dog bowl, we have a bottle filler, we have an ADA, and then we have a regular drinking. So typically I do a 4-spout unit that has all 4 of those. And then as far as dog waste is bad on artificial turf as well as it is on grass. And one of the things that we do is we always, if in fact we do artificial turf, we typically have these water cannons and quick coupling units on the turf so that it can be washed down.
Just quickly, hello, LaShonda. It was like 4 or 5 years ago, when we actually looked at Shield Reed, and we had all these little tags, or we say this is what the community wants to see, and to just say what Cynthia brought up. One of the things that we talked specifically was the area that was gonna be designated for soccer, for a sculpture, for a play area, and for other amenities. What happened to that plan? Now, and the reason why I'm asking that, I was at many of these community gatherings where we looked at the plan, and I'm pretty sure Beverly was too. This is back in, it had to be about 7 years ago, when we talked about it. Yeah, the Love Your Block and the whole bit. So is this part of that plan?
So the lower half of the project area is a Prop 68 grant, and yes, there is there's sculpture, there's play areas, there's a pump track, there's an amphitheater, a little amphitheater area, there's a stage, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Everything that you talked about with PlaceWorks is being installed on the Prop 68 lower portion of the park, but they didn't have money to do the upper portion of the park. And so yes, that all is happening. And the bids came in, and they were able to select the bid alternates and get everything in the plan that was designed. So it's pretty exciting.
So this is the combination with Love Your Block and Shield Reed neighborhood council.
That was all the outreach that was done. So the lower portion of the park has everything, and then the upper portion of the park is the area where we're just going to be tying in to that existing. Our surveyor did the survey for the lower portion, and they've done the survey for the upper portion. Civil engineers are the same back and forth, and we're interfacing with that design, and the project managers within the city. So yeah, this is all part of that.
So the decision to have this turf, because I don't really think that was discussed about what type of covering that was gonna be in place that was a really intense, a really intense discussion about having a turf, versus grass, the same as Cynthia brought up. I don't think we ever decided on having turf. I think this is just folded in from the other parks that wanted the turf, and they just wanted to put Shields Reed and having turf too. I don't think we agreed with turf. So that's just my opinion, but we've got to talk to the board, the president of Shields Reed, about that, and I'm the second vice president, so I just can't recall it. I don't know if Beverly, if you recall it, because you're on the board too, so at this point.
The council decide on that's out of my purview. We ain't got nothing to do with
But the grass, yeah, the grass.
She said that the perfect idea came from the players though, like the teams that are actually playing on the field, like they want turf.
Yeah, but they wasn't right, they wasn't why you using that. I know, yeah, but I'm just saying when it came up, okay. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move, thank you very much for the presentation, and we're gonna move.
Thank
to
you.
item 16.
Hi, everyone. It's late and hot, and we all had a long day, and this is the last presentation, and I'll be brief, and it's not a heavy presentation, so let's go for it. This is a presentation that I gave this group about a year ago, letting you know about this project. So I am going to speak about the North Richmond Lower Wildcat Creek design update around the fish passage. All right, so this is Wildcat Creek, the area in gray. It starts in Tilden and it brings everything with it through this whole area to North Richmond. Because in the past, before development, where North Richmond is now is where Wildcat Creek and San Pablo Creek just ended. So that was a flat area where the mouth of the creek was, and then the bay started. So this is a very flat area, and everything that is coming through this natural system, natural creeks, water is great, but with this come a lot of sediments and trash as well, ends up in North Richmond. Before industrialization, fish were present. Many fish were present in our creeks, not only in Wildcat Creek, but in all creeks. This is an example of the Central California steelhead trout, and it's a very unique fish because it starts its life cycle up in the headwater of the creek as an egg, and when it grows, it starts to travel all along the creek to the ocean. And when it becomes really big, it swims up the creek to where it started its life to start another cycle. So it's a very unique fish. And what you see here is from a book we created, the Watershed Project. I'm sorry, I forgot to say, I'm from the Watershed Project. And I'm happy to see some people here that I already saw very recently on Saturday. So this is a storybook that we created, Kiana and the Wildcat Creek, about the fish habitat in the creek. Next one. We met multiple times with our tribal consultants to speak with them about the importance of fish. And one of the things they would really like to have is to return fish into all of California's creeks, but Wildcat Creek as well. And we recorded really sweet short videos with them. And you're welcome to go on our website and look at the Tribal Stories website, where we have stories about the interviews with them about the importance of the creek, the fish, and other things. Next one. All right. So why are there no more fish in our natural creeks? Well, there's pollution, there's changes in water flow. Sometimes it's too much, sometimes it's too little. There's not enough plants that they need. There's a lot of challenges, but one of the biggest challenges, especially for these fish that need to swim upstream, is that there's these barriers that they cannot pass. And if you recognize this area, so there's a Verde School, And this is the bridge above, the railway bridge above the creek. And beneath the railway bridge, the floor of the creek is cemented. And that type of floor, the fish cannot swim above. They can't swim above cement. So many years ago, can you continue? Many years ago, I think that this was in the 1980s or 1990s, a fish passage was built just beneath the railway bridge. And this type of design, the baffles, are supposed to imitate how fish swim. So it allows them to kind of curve between these things and be able to swim upstream. And I don't know if you know that place. It's beautiful. When you can go there, there's a lot of amazing art on the walls. Next one. Okay, the problem is that that design was a huge failure. Because Wildcat Creek brings a lot of things from upstream, it brings the trash, natural trash, man-made trash, and a lot of sediments. Very quickly, the fish passage got completely clogged. Can you go next? And so there was one time when a lot of volunteers came and tried to clean it up. It was a lot of work. Next one. A lot of work, and it ended up like the next one. This, so it was clean, amazing, great. Guess what happened the next winter? Failed, completely failed again. So this whole design is not successful. And so, next one, please. Thank you. And so a new project was developed to rebuild the fish passage. And there was a group of organization working on that. We received the DW, Department of Water Resources Fund. We're working with the county's flood control district, and the watershed project was brought to do the community engagement. And what we said is it would be great to rebuild the fish passage, but what will it bring to the community? Like what can we do in addition to helping fish return to the creeks? What can we bring the community? And then one more. We held a lot of meetings. One of them with all of you. We met with Verde School PTA. We did book readings. We had multiple tours. Next one. We had a survey that we ran last Earth Day. So we asked community members, what do you want to see? What would you like to see at the creek? And some of the things we heard are that people want to know more about the fish and be able to kind of observe the fish passage. People want a trail that will allow for multi-use, like people that walk with dogs, small kids, bicycles, all of that. And then also one of the things we heard, and that's very similar to what you said, Adele, is that people really want to be able to gather and meet. And so they wanted an outdoor classroom next to Verde School that will allow kids and families to gather and next to the creek environment. All right, next one. Okay, so then what we did is we took all that information from the community and we worked with a design firm called Mithun that created this community benefits for the fish passage. Laura, are you on?
I am. Hi, I'm Laura. I work with Mithun, as Nama said, and so we've been working with you guys for a while. I've heard everyone's names in passing. I work with Graham and Tim also on the North Richmond Living Levee. So just to introduce myself, hello. Yeah, so this is the site that we worked on, and just to zoom in a little closer, in that area, we looked at how to add some recreation and complement the existing design, working with the engineering teams and also with Watershed on doing some community outreach. You can go to the next slide.
Pause for a second, Laura.
Sure.
Okay, so it's 15 is over.
Can we just say until needed or?
It has a heavy deadline.
And Laura, we need to be quick.
Okay. I didn't hear the first part, but I can be quick. I heard that part.
We extend until all items.
Okay, you can make that motion.
Until the end of the day.
Oh. The motion on the floor, is there a second? There is a second, okay. We're going 15 more minutes, all in favor, everybody saying aye?
That means I walk up, I get up and walk down 15 minutes.
All right, now, what does it look like?
We'll be really quick.
Okay, let's go. Continue.
Go, 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 go.
Okay, so I didn't hear everything, but it sounds like we're going fast because no one wants to be here anymore and we all want to get home to the parks and recreation of our lives. So you go to the next slide. This is just for context, the existing engineering design showing the sediment basin that we had to design around. Next slide. So there's two parks. The one on the left is a mini park connected to Verde School with a pathway, and then to the right is the Fish Ladder Park area, and then between those two is the trail that connects all the way further along Wildcat Creek. Next slide. So for the Fish Ladder overlook area, which is the closest to the railroad area, we actually elevated. So if you walk from left to right, it elevates up. It's ADA compliant. And you can go up and you can see actually Mount Tam from there. We wanted to be able to open up the visibility to all the different aspects of the region. It includes bollard lighting, and there's a bunch of area for recreation, for gathering, and a play area. Next slide. So here over at the mini park, as you can see, it connects, there's a pathway connecting to Verde School. There's signage along the pathway. There's gathering and a shade structure in the back, so there can be Zumba, you can have activities. There's also shade provided by all the new trees and a play area. And it provides that fencing that you guys mentioned in the earlier session about preserving some enclosure. Next slide. This is just visibility of this section, again, showing that there's a trail to the left and then there's different elevations you can access. Next slide. And again, looking at the trail to provide visibility. So there's a sense of security, there's waste receptacles, and there's a wildlife friendly fence. Again, there's the play area. So this is looking along it. And then behind, if you were standing in this place behind it, you would have some more signage as you enter the fish passage experience. Next slide. Back to you, Nama.
Yeah, thank you. So we took all that information, including those designs, and I want to tell you one really, really important piece of information, that the fish passage design has been completed and the building of the fish passage has been budgeted. So there's enough money for the county to rebuild the fish passage. All these designs that we showed you, we developed them, like Methuen and with the watershed project, and the community has developed them, but we're far from being able to budget them. We took all that information and we created a community benefits plan. We also took the original designs that Princess worked on. They're included in the community benefits plan for the trail on Wildcat Creek, but we wanted to include as much as possible and hand that out to the county and to future people that may help us implement that. Next one, please. So for example, when we talked with the community last cycle, one of the things that bothered the community is that just on the trail next to Verde School, there were huge piles of gravel. And we brought Supervisor John Joya and the sheriff and other the flood control district, and we told them the community really doesn't like that. That's not safe, that's ugly. And since then, if you go down there, there's no gravel piles anymore. We also heard from the community that there are a lot of safety issues, especially around homeless population living in the creek. Actually, since then, the situation has become more severe, and that is an issue. But there's no current immediate solution to that. Next slide, and that will be the last slide. So we wanted to ask you, first of all, if there's anything you want to tell us about the design itself. Is that what? Okay, cool. And then is there anything else you think that we should include in the community benefits plan? And if no, then it's okay, but.
I really like the plan. I really love the design. I'm glad that you guys are activating that space back there and trying to bring more people and community into that space. The height of the things that when you walk up already, you can see like the Mount Tam and stuff. How tall is that height and like what's underneath? Cause like, what if somebody like jump off, or what if kids up there playing and
Yeah.
fall off, like, what does that height thing look like?
Laura?
If
Did
you
you
go
hear the-
back to the slide, I can walk you through it, but basically it's not a hard edge. So I think one more back. Yeah.
No,
Nope,
no.
one more.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's it, that's it, yeah, that's it.
So if you look to where the words pathway to overlook are, that's a small slope. So we're looking at like I forget, but I think it was 5-to-1 slope. It's a really gentle slope, so you can actually wheel your way up. It's not an aggressive slope. And so between the two would be, we calculated it all out to be a still gentle slope. So there's not a hard drop. So it's 9 feet over 9 feet of I think we might have decreased it to 8 feet of elevation over a long distance. So it's just a gentle slope. So if you were to fall off, you would just be in grass or in plants and other things. It wouldn't be dramatic.
And just. No, so the other side is the fish passage, but this, there's no, the slope is, most of it is natural, so it's the hillside. It's not like elevating something above the ground. The ground itself, there's this slope. Most of it, right, Laura?
It would actually be a fill, but we didn't get into the full engineering of it structurally, but there's significant sediment and movement that would be happening with the sediment with the basin itself for Wildcat Creek. So it would probably be just salvaged from there and solidified. There's a bunch of different ways to engineer it, but it wouldn't be, it would be a sort of a gentle hill. As Nama said, it's not an aggressive thing. That's why we have such a long distance for the path, so that it's not dramatic or anything. And the planting specifically, this is a rendering, so the planting had a design, but it would probably either be native grasses mixed in with native plants. And you can see on the south end, right by the passage, has a fair amount of shrubbery. And then there's a service road that loops around it. Does that answer the question?
Water, like, you know.
She's asking about the observation above the fish passage itself, like the drop, right?
Right there, right
To the right.
there.
Yeah.
It's like a cement wall.
It is.
So that's actually existing right now. So we aren't
It's there now.
we aren't touching it, and then we put in a wall around it. And that's why there's a setback, just for security, to not have anyone, feel like dropping off, but it's not accessible in a way. You can go and peek over it, but it's not a pedestrian drop.
Yeah.
They're just decorating.
Exactly.
I think because of fence line, I mean, that was already there, but what was not there was this area of activity that would now invite children to come on there. So like, is there anything else that we can do to make that more secure? Because just because it was there, doesn't mean it's accommodating what we are now attempting this area to be.
All right.
And then I wanted to know the rest of the, I wanted to know what the fish passage will look like. You said that one that's current existing is failure.
Yeah.
So are we gonna be designing that as a community, or you guys already have that passage designed?
So that has been designed by a geomorphologist, a firm called Flow West. And that has been designed and approved and funded. And the way it's going to look is a bit different. The whole issue is that the new design will not be so vulnerable to sedimentation. And I have not brought the design for that fish passage because I know I had only 10 minutes, but I'm happy to share designs with the team.
Always have water in it? It'll never go dry?
No, it will go dry. It's Wildcat Creek, when it's dry, it's dry. Yeah, but that's a natural situation. That has always been the case for Wildcat Creek.
So the fish ladder portion is funded. So the design that we just saw, do you have any timeframe on that?
Well, we need to fund it. We need to start, applying for grants. We'll probably come to you and ask for, for approval. We are always also working with EPA through another grant. If you don't mind, can you go to the 2 last slides that I want to show? So we are working together with Urban Tilth. Oh, just 1 second. So another thing is that we created 2 interpretive signs for the fish passage, and they're supposed to be at the end when the trail will be in place, but before that, we'll just put them on the fence next to Verde. And then the next slide, next one. All right, so we are partners in a new project funded by the EPA to work specifically on Wildcat Creek, and that's a funded project. This project received $6 million. We're only small partners in it, as is Urban Tilth. And they will decide on multiple projects, but throughout all Wildcat Creek, so starting in Tilden, and we really want this to be one of the projects that they will prioritize, at least starting to work on it. Yeah. And the reason I showed this, and maybe the next one, the last one. So we are looking for community members from North Richmond and the lower Wildcat Creek to work with us as community members, and this is with a paid stipend on developing all these projects. So I have flyers on the table. If you know anyone that is interested, please reach out to us, all right? Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Already. Welcome.
All right, we're gonna go through these last items and we will extend it by consensus with folks, so. Okay, so let's move ahead with the city of Richmond Community Service Department.
Yeah, that's kind of the. Can you move closer to the alley, because I'm getting the comments there in the chat that people can't hear. Oh, okay, you're not talking about it in person?
Yeah, get here in person. Yeah, no, I'm Jessica and I'm with the North Richmond Mobile Tool Library. And all I want to announce is that if you're a resident of North Richmond and you would like to use our service, it's free to North Richmond residents and you can check out tools and use them for free. So, Tanya, maybe you could put a phone number in the chat or something if anyone's interested. Yeah, that's all I've got. Thanks.
You're reading Will Council. Okay, we're gonna go to Housing Authority. See Tony's here.
Good evening, everybody. I'll make this quick. Just a couple updates. We completed the purchase and sale agreements for the below market sales. We've actually initiated documents with one of the 4 developers and hoping to engage the other 3 here in the next couple of weeks at the latest. We're still working with lenders and realtors to try to find solutions for people who want to buy the market rate units and have some constructive financing options that might help for that. We are still finalizing the RFP for the main campus. It's essentially done. We have it out to some community colleagues that we're getting some input on, and hopefully we'll have that wrapped up and out to the public real soon. And also we've been working on a new North Richmond MOU and have a draft that's just about ready to be executed. We hope to come to the MAC either in July or August to do a presentation on its key points. With the help of Great Communities Collaborative, we hired a person to be an MOU coordinator, and their job is basically to keep the process moving, setting up meetings, getting them on the calendar, keep the group focused on the mission at hand. Her name is Shivani Raina de Graaf, and she will be with us when we do come to the MAC for a presentation, and we'll do a more detailed introduction of her at that time. Lastly, we currently have 11 project-based voucher waitlists opened, including the Chesley Mutual Homes, Friendship Manor, Miraflores Senior Apartments, Nevin Plaza, and Richmond Senior Apartments, and the Terraces Family Apartments. They're all located in Richmond. We also have a number of properties in San Pablo that are open, a couple of Antioch, one in El Cerrito. So I'm going to put a flyer into the chat here in a second. And you access the applications through our website, and they're open until June 27th at 4 p.m. Anyone has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
All right, thank you, Tony. Tony.
No, none of you will say.
All right, and I'm going to meet Senator.
Yeah, quick update, cut mine down. My name is Kyle Lou, I'm the Community Services Coordinator, I also work for CHDC. Just wanted to let everybody know we have a Community Awareness Day coming up on Friday, June 7th. Everyone is invited. It will take place at our parking lot, 1535 Fred Jackson Way. It's a resource day that we in collaboration with NeighborWorks. So everyone's invited to come. So we hope to see you there from 11 to 3 on Friday. As far as mitigation goes, we had our Willie Spears Community Cleanup on May 11th. We had, the final numbers were 18 garbage bins, 2 metal bins, about 622 residents participated, whether they came back twice to dump stuff. About 47 tons of trash was collected that day. And a great thing that's been happening the past 2 months, we have had, what we got, April, we had 25 people receive vouchers for dumping that came into our office, or we, through outreach. And last month we had 11 people come in our office for vouchers. So total is 864 $5 vouchers were given out the past 2 months. That's it.
Corporation Richmond,
No update.
Urban Hill.
If you'd like to volunteer at Urban Health, you can come every Monday from 9 to 1. You can email volunteer@urbanhealth.org for that. And then this Saturday, if you'd like to participate in preparing respiratory kits with like steams, that's going to be Saturday. And again, you can email volunteer@urbanhealth.org. Thanks.
Can I add one more thing for Urban Till? Also, on Saturday, June 22nd, we're having a community build day at the farm. We're going to be plastering one of the walls for the watershed workshop that you saw earlier in our presentation. And so go to the Urban Health website for info. We would love to have people come out. It'll be a lot of fun.
Thank you. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.